Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, U of A starts the 2022 season with a 38-20 victory at San Diego State, the first road win of the Jetfish era. I'm David Kelly, joined for a 13th season and fourth on KVOA here by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985, the tight end. And Glenn, wow. I mean, when we talked on Friday, I was like scrambling to see if I could get the Wildcats 3 wins this season. But like I told people over the weekend, I was like, you never really know what a team is going to be until you actually get to see them in action. And it was very clear from the very first play of that game when Johnny Nansen ran a number with Hunter Echols and Paris Shand to get an opening sack that this was a different Arizona Wildcats team that we've been watching the last few years.
Well, Dave, one game does not make a turnaround of a program, but I tell you, it's really, really exciting to see what happened because our team looked like they were prepared. They looked like they knew what they were doing. We were staying in our lanes, gap protection, gap integrity. We were doing, guys weren't getting, Burmeister got out when maybe, he got 2 or 10 yards, something there a couple of times. But after that, they shored it up. They made adjustments at halftime. They did all the things that they were supposed to do as a disciplined team. We only had four penalties. 4 penalties, no penalties that killed a big drive. They just played a lot disciplined. I give kudos to the coaches. They prepared our guys. And don't forget, it was a 12:30 game. It started early. Guys were up early in the morning, and they came out fired up in the first doggone snap.
And the Wildcats are used to playing in the heat that the folks in Southern California have been experiencing over the last week with the heat wave. And it seemed like that in the fourth quarter that the Wildcats just had a little bit more juice in the tank. And boy, Glenn, the transfer portal, I said Saturday night, the power of the portal. The guys that came into this program as transfers, immediate dividends from Jaden DeLora and Jacob Cowing. Man, Jacob Cowing was as advertised.
Yeah, Jacob Cowing, he knows how to get open. Like I said before in our pregame, a guy that gets 100 balls, he knows how to get open, okay? He knows how to do that. And Jaden DeLora, that guy, he went through progressions, made the plays. He made some plays that I don't think our quarterbacks last year could have made on some of those rollouts and everything and making those plays. He did a great job. And if this kid, I'm making a prediction, if he stays here for all the rest of his 3 years, he stays here, he'll be our leading passer in U of A history.
Wow. Well, we'll have to look at the numbers on that to see exactly what he's going to need to do by game to make that type of thing happen. 300-yard passing performance, though, in his first game. And, yeah, indeed, kudos to Jetfish, Matt Doherty, for the way that they completely rebuilt this roster from top to bottom, especially on the offensive side of the ball, to get weapons. And the running backs, man, it seemed like every time a running back carried the ball, it was a different guy. I don't know that we've had a stable like this before. The power guys kind of led the way. I thought Rayshon, Speedy Luke was a little tentative. First game for him, that's probably to be expected. But those, Jonah Coleman, when you're a bruiser, I don't think you need to be as fine. You just go up there and run it up in the gut. And DJ Williams looked like a veteran guy. But along with Michael Wiley, that run in the second half by Michael Wiley to get that first down when he broke 2 or 3 tackles. Glenn, that was the kind of effort I think that we have been missing from this program for the last 2 years. And the message that was being sent in training camp, and I talked about this early, you could see it from the first day of camp. The message that was being sent from this coaching staff was completely different than what we had saw last year when I think they were still trying to get to know guys. They set the tone very early in camp about the effort it was going to take to be able to start to expect to win football games.
Well, I just think they took the level of being physical. They just jumped. They really did. That was what we were lacking last year. We were guys where they just didn't know where to go. It's almost like it was like this team was coming 100 miles an hour. That's what I love. They were playing with abandonment. They were just going to get after it. And the guys, we had 11 hats on the ball. You see, I don't understand if you see the gang tackling that we had, and they were just laying just blows on these backs and the receivers. Just think about this on the defensive side of the ball. They had all those great receivers they were talking about. Yeah. They only had 7 catches. They shut those guys down. I mean, those guys, there were 7 completions. That's all they had. Our DBs did a great job. Our D-line made pressures, didn't give them a lot of lanes to run with, and we were just covering guys. There was a lot of coverage. Just the guys that just weren't open. And I was looking at the film again today, and they just did a really good job, man. I mean, they can get better in some places. Yes, there were some mistakes being done, but they can get better. And if they get better, man, I don't know what's going to be happening with this team.
And Glenn, the Wildcats defense from the very first play of that game came out and hit Braxton Burmeister in the mouth. Every time that quarterback ran the ball, they hit him hard. They drove him into the turf. They knocked him out of the game. And when you knock the best offensive player out of the game, the leader, that does not allow your team to have a chance to come back in the fourth quarter. And I think going back to one of the things that we have kind of mentioned is, the Wildcats, can they shore up getting beat in the middle of the field in the passing game? We didn't necessarily see that in this. It was a lot. Most of the throws they completed were kind of on the edge. You didn't see a lot of those seam passes getting completed on this defense. Don't throw on Christian Roland Wallace. I don't know why anybody's going to try to do that, because every time you try to do that, your receiver is covered. Rutherford got beat on the touchdown, but he was right there. So, I mean, that's a 50-50 ball. That's going to happen. Got beat the second time, but the quarterback didn't see the receiver. So, you want to see him maybe get a little bit better in that respect. But, yeah, you're right. And I want to also go back and touch on the offensive side of the ball, especially with the line. I thought Jordan Morgan played probably his best game at the University of Arizona that I've seen him play. I mean, he was in control on that left side, was pushing guys out on the outside rush. We kind of knew that the strength of their defense was going to be the inside guys versus the outside guys. There's going to be some better defensive ends that he's going to face, but I thought for the first game, that was as good a game as I've seen Jordan Morgan play here at Arizona.
And the guys in front, that front they had against those guys, they were not making penetration. We were moving those guys out off the blocks, man. They were coming off. I was really proud of our guys, and they were getting physical, coming up on the linebackers and just engulfing them. And just going up to the second level, squared up and not getting just half a guy. They were getting full body in front of them. And I really liked the way Sam Lega played. He was getting after it. He got in. I thought he had a pretty good game. And, the linebackers weren't making a lot of tackles. They're DBs. They were making tackles, a lot of their DBs. So I really think that they did a great job. This is just one game, people. We got to get better, because next week I watched that Mississippi State. Whoa. They got that. They're going to be firing that ball all over the court. It's going to be a flag football game over there.
Yeah, you really want to get Traden Stukes back for this ball game to kind of shore up, because the other thing maybe defense. We didn't really see, I don't think, too many other cornerbacks besides Rutherford and Roland Wallace. They didn't play any of the young guys in that ball game, and so I don't know that Johnny Nansen is going to be able to leave those two guys out there the entire game next week against a passing style team like Mississippi State. You mentioned Sam Longy, the offensive lineman. We saw him play both right tackle. It seemed like they were kind of mixing and matching with Peyton Fears early. We did see, again, Peyton get beat on some edge rushes. That still needs to be shored up. And then something happened with Jonas Savianai, I guess, towards the end of the second quarter, because he didn't come back in the second half, and then they slid Longy down there into guard. So, again, we want to try to keep that offensive line healthy. That's something we're going to have to watch with Savianai to see what his status is moving into this week as well. The linebackers, Glenn, Jerry Roberts was all over the place.
Jerry Roberts, I thought there was two of them out there. You know, the guy was just, and then he was just laying hat. I love the way he was just physical. He was just really physical, hitting people. And at the first part of the game, he was getting caught up. I think they made some adjustments, and then he was just downhill, man. He was making some plays and getting to the quarterback. And when we had to run, I thought he played a really good game.
Cage looked good as well. We'd like to, obviously, you don't want to see the personal foul there in the second half, but showed a lot of energy. Obviously, he's got something going on with his hand. He had a wrap on. Looks like maybe the last two fingers on his one hand, so that's something we'll have to kind of keep an eye. Couldn't wrap up on that one blitz sack that he could have had, but overall, thought Colby Cage played extremely well. Hunter Echols early couldn't be stopped. That's another injury we'll kind of have to keep an eye on, although Jed Fish came out after the game and said he should be okay because, man, he looked really good in the rush game there, as we mentioned, that first play, and then came back again and had another good rush later on in the first quarter as well of that game. Special teams, obviously you had another blocked punt. I mean, Josh Donovan ran into the punter on the punt, ran into the quarterback on the interception. So we got to work with Josh Donovan on his field awareness there.
Yeah, he's got to have a field awareness because there's only 10 yards in the end zone, so he should have been up another 2 yards at least. He should have been up a little bit closer because he was at the right depth if we were on the middle of the field, if we're out on the field. So he's got to make that adjustment. The coaches got to get on him to make sure he knows that adjustment. So I don't know where that fault goes, but that's where they should have been. Going back to the defense, I really think that, they really if you got a shot on the quarterback, you got to make that tackle.
Right.
That's the thing. But we could have been in some different situations. You got to make that tackle. If you see the guy, because sometimes they were running free for the quarterback and then they missed the tackle. They got to be able to make that tackle. So we got to shore that up. If we can do that, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I thought Kyle Ostendorf, man, I was about midway through that game. I was like, heck, he might have to transfer because there's no work for him here today.
Yeah.
How's he going to build on that resume if he doesn't have any punts? So, it was good obviously you don't want to have to use your punter a lot, but, that is, I was kind of getting worried there with him for a little bit.
Yeah. And he, and he's going to get his chances to punt. And the special teams were on fire too. Those guys, they were playing with abandonment. They were just they were just on the punts and on, the way they were playing. I thought they did pretty good on special teams also.
Kickoff return, I thought, could have been a little bit better. Dalton Jones was a guy that stood out to me. Dalton Johnson, I should say, had the blocked punt. He also had another big tackle on special teams, I believe on a punt return, but kickoff return, they did give up some yards in that area, so you don't want to give teams, that opportunity to start outside of their 40-yard line. So special teams wise, that's somewhere else that I think you're going to want to shore up. We get to give out some game balls, Glenn. We haven't given out game ball. We give out game balls once in about 3 years. So
let me give you my first game ball.
Okay.
I would give it to Jed Fish inside the 20. Okay,
yes!
Inside the 20. That was unbelievable.
5 for 5.
5 for 5. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute now. They had some good plays called. They had some execution. It looked like what they were doing. You got to get the play in a little faster, though. That's the only thing. Get the play in. Get it in a little faster. And we'll be a little bit better.
Well, and I want to show this one play right here, Glenn, because I thought this to me was a real sign of the maturity of Jaden Delore. And this is the touchdown pass here to Tetaroa McMillan. And what I liked about this play is, I'm going to stop it right here, is how Delore stared down Cowing to pull that cornerback Shadarius Barfield down out of the window, because the linebacker was actually the one lined up on Cowing, but they got the cornerback to come down out of the window, and that opened it up on the slant for him to be able to hit Tetaroa McMillan for that touchdown. It was not a large opening. He had
I was going to say, it's like this big, Dave. that thing was, that's why I'm saying that this kid, if he stays upright, he's going to break all of Nick Foles' records.
I mean, he had to fit it in that window, but just the way he used that stare down to get that defensive back to move, to open that up for himself, I thought that was just a brilliant piece of quarterbacking there by Jayden de Laura, and even a better catch by a true freshman playing in his first game to stand in there and take the hit and get his first score.
Yeah, and that was a great catch. He concentrated. He knew he was going to get hit, and he made the play. And that's what you have to do. That's what big-time guys do, make the play.
I mean, his ball awareness, T-Mac, I mean, you had that catch right there, which he caught in traffic. You had the ball that Jayden underthrew, that he had to come back and make the catch on that one. And then I thought probably his prettiest catch was the one on the sideline that was out of bounds.
Yeah, that was a great catch, too. So he's, I mean, I'm excited about the weapons they have. And then, they even went to the tight end. We haven't even done our boot game yet. We haven't bootleg and got out. We haven't done that. So that's going to be coming soon too. When you see the tight end be able, and we haven't hit him down the seam. So I don't know if they're putting that in the pocket and saying, hey, we're going to come out with that later. I'm excited about what we can do because we got some weapons out there.
All right, you gave your first game ball to Jedd Fisch. I'm going to give my offensive game balls to Jayden de Laura, obviously. 4 touchdown passes, 299. Jacob Cowing, 3 touchdown catches, 152 yards, 8 receptions overall. Like I said, Jordan Morgan thought he played his best game, so he's going to get a game ball from me. And then on defense, Paris Shan forcing a turnover there late in the fourth quarter to seal the game. And then Jerry Roberts, who anytime you get a double-digit tackle game out of the linebacker position, that's pretty impressive to me. So those are my 5 game balls that I'm giving out. Finally, that's only the second time in 3 years I think we've had a chance to give out winning game balls.
And I can see why, man. He was just unbelievable on the defensive side, coming up on the run. I mean, the guy was really, really active, very physical. I think that I'm going to give game balls to all the DBs. I think they did a great job.
All right, and Glenn, Mississippi State comes to town. Jedd Fisch, after the game, made a call to Cat Nation to show up this Saturday.
Hey, Arizona fans, it's Coach Fisch here. We're here in San Diego, just finished off winning 38-20. Now we got to get you all at the game next week. We got to have the home field advantage next Saturday night at 8 o'clock. Let's fill that place. Really appreciate all of you. Love your support. See you soon. Go Cats.
Yeah, and I'm making a call too. I'm saying you got to come out and show up at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. I don't care if it's 8 o'clock. I don't care. Clear your calendar. What are you doing at 8 o'clock? Come and see this game. Bring your kids so they can see some real good football.
Well, I'm expecting 45,000. I looked at the numbers. They had 52 when LSU came here in 2003, 46 when Auburn came here in 1976. So, man, if we can't get 45,000 out there,
50.
minimum.
50 after that game. 50 after that game at San Diego State. I bet you could ask every single Cat fan, and they thought that we were going to win that game. They all would have probably said no. Okay, I picked the Cats to win. I did pick the Cats to win. Even though everybody always says I always pick the Cats to win. But after I saw the preparation that they had during the fall camp, and just the stuff that the factors of all that stuff that was happening at San Diego State with those allegations of the rape allegations and everything, and I thought the coaches were in some serious heat. So I don't know if they prepared as well. And it showed that they just really weren't really ready to go, man. That team didn't look like they knew what they were doing.
Well, you're a better man than me because I said the Wildcats would lose by 2 touchdowns. So they are +1 because I had them losing that opener at San Diego. All right, it is the Wildcats and Mississippi State on Saturday night. We'll be back to preview that game for you on Saturday morning.
Bear down.